in a sleep debt? Why has sleep become a luxury in India? And how do we fix it? Nobody ever has to teach us how to sleep. Sleep, like hunger, thirst, and breathing, is biologically hardwired into our bodies from the time we are in the womb. But unlike hunger, thirst, and breathing, we can survive without sleep for a longer duration. Sleep, however, is a luxury for many. Young Indians are increasingly getting sleepless.
After my son's birth, it's 2017, I feel that there's something issues in my sleep and my baby is born with a CMP issue. तो उसके साथ पूरा टाइम ऐसा रहता कि आपको अलर्ट रहना पड़ता था कि ऐसा ना हो कहीं वॉमिट हो जाए, ऐसा ना हो कि वो कुछ ऐसी दिक्कत हो जाए. तो वो जो थॉट्स आ गए मेरे दिमाग में कि ये ना हो जाए, वो ना हो जाए, कोई चीज़ उसको स्टक ना कर जाए उसके, तो वो थॉट्स मेरे साथ इतने ज़्यादा मेरे ऊपर हावी हो गए कि मुझे नींद आती ही नहीं थी. मैंने अपने हस्बैंड को बोला कि यार इट्स लाइक वीक, मैं सो नहीं पाई हूँ एंड आई फील कि सो मच स्ट्रेस. कई बार तो ऐसा होता था कि मेरा बेबी रो रहा होता था एंड आई एम नॉट एबल टू रिकॉग्नाइज कि इसको कैसे चुप कराऊँ यार, हम ब्लैंक, मुझसे नहीं हो रहा. एंड आई लाइक क्राइंग. रात को 3 बजे उठ के आई वॉज सो मच क्राइंग कि गौरव मुझसे नहीं हो रहा. फिर मैंने डॉक्टर के पास गई, मैंने कंसल्ट किया, फिर मैंने वहाँ से पिल्स लेनी स्टार्ट करी. बट आफ्टर 2 और 3 ईयर्स मैं ठीक थी. 3 ईयर्स मतलब मैं कभी कभी पिल्स लेती थी जब मुझे लगता था कि एक्स्ट्रा एक्सर्शन हो गया है बहुत, अब मैं नहीं सो पाऊँगी, या कोई थॉट्स ऐसे हो गए या कुछ आपकी लाइफ में कुछ ऐसा घट गया, तो मैंने थोड़ी थोड़ी कभी कभी पिल्स लेनी स्टार्ट करी. देन आफ्टर माई मॉम्स डेथ अभी मार्च में, इट्स फील डिज़ास्टर. और मतलब बिलीव मी, मैं 1 महीने नहीं सोई हूँ. इट्स लाइक कि 3 घंटे की नींद, 4 घंटे की नींद, वो भी कोई साउंड स्लीप नहीं. और उसके बाद मैंने फिर से दोबारा डॉक्टर को कंसल्ट किया और मैंने फिर दोबारा पिल्स लेनी स्टार्ट करी. अब वो पार्ट ऑफ माई लाइफ है, रोज़ खानी पड़ती है. वो खाने के बाद भी मुझे 2 या 3 घंटे नींद आती है. वो भी रात को अगर मैंने 8 बजे खा ली तो मुझे 11, साढ़े 11, 12 बजे नींद आएगी. मुझे टोटल 5 साल हो गए इफ़ आई काउंट के 2019 में मैंने फ़र्स्ट टाइम मेडिसिन लेने स्टार्ट करी थी. मैंने कुशन सेटिंग करी, मैंने तरह तरह के वो मैट्रेस यूज़ करे, पफ़ी मैट्रेस, पतला तकिया, वॉक करना स्टार्ट किया, मैंने जिम जाना स्टार्ट किया, मैंने हेल्दी ईटिंग स्टार्ट की, मैंने फास्ट रखे कि शायद उसकी वजह से मैंने अर्ली टू राइज एंड अर्ली टू स्लीप वाला पैटर्न भी देखा. बट नथिंग इज़ वर्क. मोर देन 1 वीक गट हेल्थ का प्रॉब्लम हो गया. ऐसे मुझे कभी गट हेल्थ का प्रॉब्लम नहीं था, बट आफ्टर इस 5 सालों में मुझे गट प्रॉब्लम भी हो रहे हैं. मुझे बिल्कुल साउंड स्लीप चाहिए. अगर आपने आके नॉक भी कर दिया, आप जैसे कर रहे हो, पुश कर रहे हो, हवा से भी दरवाज़ा खुल गया, तो मैं बस उठ जाऊँगी. लग्जरी नींद, दिस इज़ माई फेरी टेल कि मुझे 7 घंटे या 8 घंटे की नींद आ गई. वाओ, आज मैंने 8 घंटे सोया. दिस लाइक वाओ, celebration.
Doctors see a huge crisis, a sleep epidemic. Numbers reflect this disturbance in our sleeping habits. According to a 2019 study conducted by US-based Fitbit across 18 countries, Indians are the second most sleep-deprived globally. A more recent 2024 survey by social media platform Local Circles of 41,000 individuals over 309 districts over a period of 12 months reveals just how much sleep debt we have. 61% reported sleeping fewer than 6 hours, a 6% rise from the survey done for 2022-2023.
What's important is for us to take a step back and understand why that person is not being able to sleep, right? There can be multiple causes ranging from psychological cause, being stress being one of the factors, lifestyle, the biological clock pattern getting a little erratic, what we call circadian rhythms, some underlying physiological problems, sleep apnea. People are always engaged in something, right? Whether they are academics or working, or a lot of people do a lot of innovative stuff and want to be in the creative field, multitasking and all that, right? So when people are into so much these days, because the expectation from society, obviously when they start to see the impact of not sleeping well, they become more aware and want to seek help.
The most common sleep disorder is insomnia, reduced quality and quantity of sleep, which 30 to 40% of the population experience at some point in life, of which about 10% can turn into chronic insomnia. Other than that, about 10% develop parasomnia, which is basically some abnormal experience or behavior during sleep, like sleep talking, sleepwalking, nightmares, night terrors. Some patients, around 10% of them, have circadian rhythm disorders, which is a mismatch between your physiological schedule required and your sleep patterns. About 2 to 4% have obstructive sleep apnea, a respiratory condition characterized by snoring, breathing difficulties, and poor quality sleep. And there are a few rare conditions like narcolepsy, which makes people drowsy in the day, or hyperinsomnia, excessive sleepiness. What then is the impact of sleep debt?
If you sleep daily for fewer hours, then the cumulative amount is called a sleep depth. First thing is the alertness and the concentration. It definitely decreases because you require at least 6 to 8 hours of sleep. Ideally, it should be 8 hours, which is practically impossible in people who are living a corporate life, who are in a metro. Sleep deficit causes a lot of health changes in terms of your blood pressure in general, your heart rate, the way how your body functions, the hormonal changes which causes diabetes, and later on the risk of cardiovascular diseases as well as sometimes risk of stroke.
According to a cross-country comparative analysis done in 2017 and published in the journal Rand Health Quarterly, the US experiences the highest economic losses due to sleep deficiency of up to about $411 billion a year. On an annual basis, the US loses an equivalent of about 1.23 million working days due to insufficient sleep. Well, there has been no study done here in India to estimate a similar figure, but experts say the US figures are enough to demonstrate that sleep is essential not just for individuals, but also for workplaces, for society, for development. What happens when we sleep? Sleep is designed as a bodily process which will allow your body to rest. It's usually controlled by a circadian rhythm and responds to light cues. When your body senses that light is reducing during night, it will start to produce more of the hormone melatonin, which helps you fall asleep.
I think it's very important that we have what we call wind down activities during, when we are ready to sleep. It's important to prepare ourselves, not just from the environmental aspect point of view, like we make the room dark, we close the curtains, we make sure the mattress is of the right type, and the temperature and everything, right? Sleep has always been known as a passive activity, right? In fact, the sleep disorder in itself was not a recognized specialty even 20-30 years ago, because what was thought earlier was when we sleep in the night, everything rests. Our mind rests, our body rests. It's almost deemed as a resting activity. But what we've learned so far in the last 2-3 decades, that's not the case.
This NREM, that is non-rapid eye movement stage, there are 3 stages, 1, 2 and 3. Stage 1 is a stage where you are in a light sleep stage. If someone tries to wake you up, you just simply wake up. After that comes stage 2, which is slightly deeper, not the deep sleep which we talk about. And in stage 3, the healing occurs. Basically, your immunity, the damage in your nerves. This is a basic non-medical language that I'm telling you, but the basic healing, your recovery, your body, muscles, nerves, everything is recovering during the stage 3, which is very important. And stage 3, as well as rapid eye movement, usually all the stress and the injury and the harm which has caused in the body or the tiredness, there is recovery which happens.
Sleep is not just resting. It helps regulate energy storage. It works on self-repair. And that is why those who are sick are recommended to get enough sleep. And it reorganizes memories as well. Also the information that has been learnt in the past. Well, if you don't allow your body to do all of this, it will physically and mentally weaken over a period of time. What is disturbing our sleep? As it turns out, early to bed and early to rise is not so important as maintaining a consistency of sleep timings and completing the necessary hours needed to sleep.
We continue to get up early to reach to our school and office. However, we sleep late due to long working hours, social media, and home entertainment on OTT platforms. The net result is the decrease in amount of sleep.
There's this culture of the baby or the young child going to sleep with the parents. at say 11 p.m. or midnight. But the thing is that, you know, adults need say 7 to 8 hours of sleep, but a baby needs 11 to 12 hours of sleep. So if they're sleeping at 11 p.m., they're actually waking up at 11 a.m. or 10 a.m., which is not where their circadian clock actually is. Their circadian clock is very finely tuned to the rising and the setting of the sun. So they should sleep at sunset and wake at sunrise. That's how their sleep quality is the best.
A 2024 study conducted by Wakefit, an Indian company specialized in home and sleep solutions, conducted a survey of 10,000 people across Indian cities about their sleeping habits. Nearly half of the people reported waking up feeling tired. The study also highlighted about the excessive screen time. Specifically, 54% of the people use social media and other OTT platforms. 88% of the people use their mobile phones just before going to sleep. The combination of these two leads to disturbed and delayed sleep.
Blue light gives you a false feeling of daytime. With so much of screen time during the night, everyone is on phone for some or other reason, and that stimulates our brain. It definitely decreases for the brain, the sensation of the feeling that it is night time, it reduces. And when you are exposed to the blue light, there is decreased secretion of the hormone that is melatonin, which is one of the most essential thing to induce sleep and to have a very good sleep.
The Wakefit survey reflects this disturbance. 88% of participants reported waking up multiple times during the night. Stress also impacts our sleep quantity and quality. Finally, the combination of sedentary lifestyles, unhealthy diets has led to a rise in obesity rates, which is one of the leading causes of a sleep disorder known as obstructive sleep apnea.
When this happens particularly in people with excessive weight like obesity or overweight or even middle-aged men, now what happens, when all the muscles relax in the body, right, particularly the neck muscles and the tongue, they fall back when they are relaxing and block the airway partially or fully. When the airway gets blocked, what you hear outside is your snoring. So a lot of people think that people snoring means they are having a sound, good sleep, but that's definitely not the case. It's anything but actually. Sleep apnea can be fatal if it's severe. So it's important that if anybody is snoring, you got to get it checked.
What does sleep debt do to your health? Sleep is essential for nearly every bodily function. Poor sleep or sleeping for less than 6 hours can predispose one to conditions like hypertension, diabetes, coronary heart disease, stroke, depression, and even premature death. Furthermore, inadequate sleep impairs our cognitive functioning, economic productivity, and quality of life.
Babies and toddlers, young children, actually have very inflexible biological rhythms. So their circadian rhythm, their homeostatic rhythm is all quite fixed and not very flexible. So we actually need to understand that, and we need to follow that in order for them to sleep well. So they thrive with a predictable routine, with a predictable schedule. If they have an early bedtime, if they have age appropriate timely naps, they actually sleep better. That's simply how the body works. The body clock is just quite well regulated, especially with young children. So the sleep quality is simply better because they're not overtired. There's no cortisol, stress hormone in their body, so their sleep is better.
A 2014 study in the journal Child Psychology found even a small amount of sleep loss affects the mood and performance of school-going children significantly. It noted that only 5 hours of sleep provided for 4 consecutive nights impairs task performance to the same degree as blood alcohol level of 0.6%. New research is also shedding light on some unusual impacts of sleep debt. For example, a 2021 study in the Journal of Scientific Reports has found that sleep deprivation impacted your gait and sense of balance. Another 2024 study in the journal Neurology concluded that disrupted sleep in your 30s and 40s could result in a 100% chance of memory and thinking problems only a decade later. Just like poor mental health can affect sleep, poor sleep can lead to quite significant mental health conditions like anxiety, depression, cognitive impairment, like problems with attention, concentration, memory, everything will go for a toss. Another major outcome of sleep debt is the increased likelihood of accidents. Eventually, no matter how much you push yourself to stay awake, tiredness does catch up with you. It is not uncommon for drivers to engage in micro-sleep episodes. When you doze off for a few seconds, this can cause fatal accidents. Each year, drowsy driving accounts for about 1 lakh crashes, 71,000 injuries, 1,550 fatalities in India, according to the National Safety Council's 2021 report. How then can we fix our sleep debt? Experts say that sleep, being a complex psychophysiological phenomenon, cannot be treated with just one simple solution. It has to be holistic, looking at the biological factors, psychological and social factors as well. For example, in 2021, a study published in the Quarterly Journal of Economics, looking at 452 low-income workers in Chennai, found that simply increasing the number of hours one slept was not enough to improve people's work productivity, earnings, financial choices, sense of well-being, or even their blood pressure. They found that the workers slept in difficult circumstances with many interruptions. The study concluded that sleeping more soundly could possibly help more than more low-grade sleep. Essentially, quality over quantity. The good news, however, is that sleep medicine has come a long way in India.
Just giving the medicine without identifying the underlying cause, you will be just masking the problem, you will not be solving the problem. So what's important is for us to look at the underlying cause. If it's psychological, treat the psychological cause. If it's physiological, treat the physiological cause. If sleep apnea, treat it. Many times, we have prescribed them what is called a small device called CPAP, continuous positive airway pressure machine, a device. So basically what it does, the person switches on the device which is connected to a tube and mask and sleeps with it. What the device does is it pushes the air with an adequate pressure so that the air enters smoothly into their lungs, and sleep apnea is taken care of and they get good sound sleep.
You have to take a detailed history because there are several reasons linked to it, not just one. So it is their lifestyle you need to look into, the food they are taking, if the person is a female, you have to take the history of pregnancy and children because even pregnancy can cause that. And then there is a big role of trauma. Trauma as in it could be a physical trauma or a mental trauma. It is very important to take a detailed history, counsel them, and then give them the medicine they require and tell them how they can improve their sleep hygiene and the sleep quality with just counseling.
Insomnia, because of circadian rhythm, melatonin definitely helps as a supplement, and it's not addictive, it's quite safe, but before you resort to that or use it, you get yourself assessed by sleep specialist. Whereas light therapy, what it does is it suppresses melatonin. So people with excessive sleep during the day, we call it hypersomnia, or people who haven't had good sleep in the night, ending up feeling very drowsy and fatigued during the day, we give them light therapy so that the melatonin is suppressed and they are active. So we do it for about few weeks until they get their circadian rhythm back. So it is useful, circadian rhythm problems, both melatonin and light therapy, but only for that category of patients and certainly not for everyone.
Unfortunately, in spite of improvement in sleep medicine, very few actually consult the relevant specialists for treatment. For example, a 2015 study of 1,185 participants in West Bengal, published in the International Journal of Medicine and Public Health, found that nearly half of those who had insomnia never sought medical advice, and only 15.3% actually consulted a doctor for their sleep problems. Another common issue that never goes addressed is sleep apnea. Experts say snoring is the first symptom of sleep apnea, but very few who suffer from it realize how it impacts their well-being. In 2019, a recommendation for a national sleep policy was published in the National Medical Journal of India, which highlighted the adverse effects of poor sleep and stressed upon a policy to spread awareness, promote good sleep hygiene, improve accessibility to sleep medicine.
There's a lot we can do to manage our sleep before going there. In terms of just managing our sleep hygiene, our stress levels, our sleep environment, and there are many tests that even doctors can run, for example, to test our breathing. Is there any kind of sleep apnea or sleep disordered breathing? Is there an airway obstruction of some kind?
According to Statista, the global sleep economy is set to grow from $432 billion in 2019 to $585 billion in 2024. In India, Future Market Insights predicts that melatonin supplement market will cross $10 million by 2033, while the sleep aids market is expected to hit $455 million by 2029. Many companies are adapting their offerings to target customers who are interested now in improving their sleep. For example, WakeFit offers a 100-day return policy because they realized it takes time for a customer to adjust to a new sleep mattress and decide if it suits their body.
A lumpy mattress does not enable a key requirement for good sleep, which is spinal alignment. So when you're sleeping, can your spinal column be very neatly aligned despite your body weight being disproportionately distributed across the height? So given that criterion, lumpy mattresses create a lot of issues and you wake up with a stiff back. But the good news is consumers are slowly becoming aware to this fact. We at WakeFit itself over the last 9 years have seen that they ask about the ability to control temperature, the ability to control the breathing of the mattress, the ability to control the quality. All of those things are things that they evaluate before they make a purchase.
Another growing trend is that of natural or alternate cures for sleep. Many herbal supplements exist in the market with the promise of better, more restorative sleep. Doctors, however, insist that proper sleep diagnosis is important before deciding on the type of treatment. This is because sometimes there may be a deeper underlying problem, or more than one, that a change in routine or supplements can't really improve.
A lot of people may find it difficult to kind of sleep at home because of distractions like, you have a certain routine, you wake up at a certain time in the morning because the maid comes in, or somebody has to go to school, or, you have a certain time at night where you watch TV, etc. And if you have not been getting good quality sleep for 7 to 8 hours for 5, 6, 10 days in a row, I think it's a great idea to create a change in scenery, go take that holiday or sleep in a hotel for a couple of nights.
So while taking the occasional snoozecation to a luxury hotel or using guided breathing apps to relax before bedtime might be helpful, it won't guarantee a permanent end to your sleep issues. To permanently end your sleep debt, a visit to a doctor remains your best bet.